What is a dialect? According to Nakayama and Martin, they described a dialect as an idea, a variable, and a quality. Actually, two of them that actually self contradict each other. And by self contradiction, I mean the fact that I go right, you go left, then we meet again, but then I'm still contradicting it myself. I say one thing, you say another thing, but what I mean is actually the same thing but opposite. So let's see. There are 6 types of dialects that have been described in the book, and one of them is cultural and individual dialects. According to cultural dialect, it is described as a certain trait, a certain characteristic, a certain ideology that has been observed in one particular group. And in this case, we're talking about communication. So when I apply communication in cultural dialect, what I mean is having the same communication pattern in one specific group. But then, like I said, it's contradicting each other because it's like a paradox. So when it comes to cultural dialect, it has a contradictory variant, which is individual variant. According to individual dialect, it claims that I am I am an individual in one specific group. Yeah. Now, I'm in this cultural group, a specific group. I said in cultural dialect, we have the same trait, communication trait that is seen in that cultural group. That means you can't compare it to another group. Now, I'm an individual in that cultural group. When you take me out, I have the same characteristic as everyone, but I have my own traits that I share with no one, not my family and not my parents and not my cultural background. Therefore, it's contradicting each other, a cultural and an individual dialect. Now, why do we have to read? Why do we have to study? Why do we have to understand the cultural and individual dialect? Just for one reason. And when you come to communication and you want to apply the two dialects, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to understand the cross-cultural communication. And that's the main importance of learning cultural and individual dialect. You have to understand, okay, this is a group, this is one culture, this is another culture. When you mix it together, they still have certain characteristics. This culture has one characteristic, the other one has another characteristic, but then you're mixing each other. That is cultural and individual dialect. Thank you.
I'll take you through the second. I'll take you through the second and the third dialect. So the second dialect is the personal contextual. So it involves the role of the context in intercultural relationship and focuses mainly on the person and the context. So as much as we communicate as individuals on a personal level, its context is also essential. And also, we get to enact on specific social roles that give the meaning to our message. This is a message that you're trying to pass through. So the second dialect is the different similarities. On to the next one, which is the difference in similarities. So intercultural communication is characterized by both similarities and differences, in that people are simultaneously similar to the difference from each other. So from the book, we get to identify this and describe the importance of the difference between groups of people, their values, language, nonverbal behaviors, conflict resolution, and many others. So, however, there are also many other similarities in human experience and the way of communicating. Looking at the difference, it mainly emphasizes that it can lead to us stereotyping or prejudicing. And looking at the similarities, it can lead us to ignoring the importance of culture of cultural variation that exists. To conclude, I'll urge you guys to emphasize on both the similarities and the differences so that you can be able to keep this dialect in mind. Thank you.